Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Sue of Bendnstretch with Sue, and in today's video I'm bringing you a requested practice, which is a Yin Yoga practice specifically designed to target the lymphatic system, which is so important in order to keep our immune system running efficiently, helping to detoxify the body. So all you'll need for this one is a yoga block if you have one handy, maybe a couple of cushions. I have a bolster, a folded blanket, and with that we'll get going. Be sure to listen to your body. These poses are held for longer than usual, with most of our yoga poses anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes. So if you need to come out sooner, by all means go ahead, do that. You can just come into Shavasana or Child's Pose, and while you wait for us to move into the next position. Do be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate it. And thank you if you have. Also, be sure to hit the notification bell so you'll know when I upload some new content. You can check it out. Check me out in the next video and give me one of these if you like it. Let's get started. So as we prepare to begin our practice, find a comfortable seated position. Whether you're sitting in cross-legged on a block or folded blanket cushion, you want to have a tall spine and just let the hands rest in a comfortable position. From here, you can close the eyes and just take a few moments to quiet your mind. Bring the attention to your breathing and allow yourself to move into being right here, right now. Aware of the inhales and the exhales. And letting go of all of the things that preoccupy and distract. This is your time that you've set aside. Now, as you feel ready to begin, we're going to start with the first pose of the legs up the wall. Now, you may want to use a blanket or even your bolster block for this one, just to support the hips a little bit if you find that you feel a lot of pressure in the lower back. I like to simply bring the hips right up against the wall. So bringing one hip up against the wall, and from there I'm able to bring the legs up completely against the wall. So once you're there, you might have to kind of scoot to bring your bottom up against the wall. You may also want to use the blanket here to give you some extra cushion, which can feel quite lovely for the lower back. And as we bring the arms a comfortable distance away from the body, you can turn the palms up and relax the fingers, let them softly curl in. And in this position, we allow the lymph fluid to drain from the feet and from the lower legs all the way up or down to the lymph nodes where there's detoxification that occurs. Gravity has such an impact on creating some pooling of these fluids. So therefore, as we relax and allow gravity to work in reverse, we create this draining. It's a great one to do, particularly at the end of the day as we move around throughout the day. We create, or we allow pooling to occur. So by reversing that flow in this way, we create that draining effect. Also wonderful for blood vessels that may not function as well as they should, such as varicose veins or maybe even spider veins. It's good for helping that blood flow as well. So if there's any kind of cramping as a result, this will really help to relieve that. It's also excellent for those who suffer from restless leg syndrome. That's why doing this at nighttime can be a real benefit. It also helps to lower the blood pressure. All of these supporting your immune system. So you may find that this is one, if you practice it regularly, you might even fall asleep in this position. If your mind begins to wander and become preoccupied again, just bring your attention back to your breath, to my voice. You're here for approximately 1 more minute. As you prepare to make your way out, you can simply bend the legs and let yourself move into the fetal position on your side, taking a moment there to let everything settle, let the blood flow, move so that you don't feel lightheaded when you press yourself back up. So you do want to move very slowly and gently to ease your way back. So from here, moving back onto the mat, we'll come into a seated position for our next pose. And this one works in the opposite end of the body. So we started off with a draining from the lower limbs, and now we focus up in the neck area. So you may want to have that blanket, pillow, whatever helps you to be more comfortable as you come into a cross-legged seated position. And from here, again, you want to come back to that nice tall seated alignment, and you can simply allow one ear to drop toward the shoulder. Now you can take the opposite hand away, and you may even want to deepen that stretch by placing the opposite hand on the side of the head. So you're not pushing down on it, you're simply allowing the weight of your hand to create that beautiful stretch. So we're only going to be holding for approximately 1 minute on each side here. And as you release the arm back down again, be very gentle to bring the head back into that tall stacking over the spine. Full inhale, and an exhale to drop the opposite ear to the other shoulder. Same here, you can even press a little bit through the heel of that opposite hand. And if you like, adding a deeper stretch by bringing the hand to the side of the head. Just breathing easy, enjoying the effortlessness of simply holding in stillness, something that can be in itself quite challenging. We're used to doing rather than just being. That's what yin is all about. It's opposition to the yang of our lifestyles, of movement and doing. You find that you can even feel some of the draining going on in the throat area, because that's where we're targeting right now, is all those lymph nodes in the neck and throat to help with the draining there. Carefully releasing on the side and bringing the head back. You can take a few shoulder rolls if you like, just to bring some movement back to that area. And from here, we'll move on to the hands and knees to prepare for our next position. Now, you may want to have some padding for your knees if they're a little bit tender. Since I'm traveling, I only have one block with me. So I'm going to use that. If you have two, you might want to have one on each side. As I first step my right foot up, and it would be in between the hands for dragon. You can have your block on the lower setting, or you could have no block at all. But as you find the place where you can allow the left hip to drop down. So we've got some targeting going on now in those lymph nodes in the groin area particularly. There's an opening on the left side, really stretching and expanding them, whereas on the right side, we're creating some compression. Now, by adding a twist, if you like, if you're comfortable doing so, we can further deepen that compression. You can bring the hands to prayer, or you can just let the hands rest on your block on your hip. So whatever is more doable for you here, because we are here a little bit longer. So this one will be here for approximately 3 minutes. Make sure you relax the shoulders down and continuing to feel that downward pull of that left hip toward the earth. If you are bringing the palms together, just be careful not to let your shoulders kind of hike up around the ears. It can easily happen as you get very focused on your twist and on pressing those palms together. Just be sure to listen to your body, modify and adjust as you go. In order to move out of the position, you'll want to first unwind from your twist, and moving very slowly. Just because we are holding longer, you don't want to press too quickly out of the position. Just gently easing the hips back, and you might stretch out that right leg, can feel quite yummy. And then as we bring the right knee underneath the hip, I'm just going to move through a few rounds of cow and cat here to really create some nice release through the lower back, through the hips, even into the shoulders, the upper body. It just feels so lovely to create that flow of movement. Coming back to the table, and from here we're going to move into that same pose on the opposite side. So taking a step forward with the left foot, and again just finding that perfect position and alignment. So using your prop, again it's about creating some opening, some stretch here. We've got the lymph nodes in the groin area. We've got compression going on the other side. So it's a real balance of stretch and compression. Now, the lymphatic system does not have a pump of its own, so it really relies on movement from our bodies, our muscle action, our inversion, gravity. It all plays a role in getting that lymph to flow. So that's why a yoga practice can be so helpful. Now, again, you can add your twist here and make sure that you provide yourself with the appropriate padding if needed for your right knee. That blanket can be really helpful. Or you could even do a double fold of your mat and just creating that extra thickness there. Therefore, as you once again ease your way out of the position, first untwisting and then using your support to very gently start to send those hips back. And give yourself a little hamstring stretch while you're here as well. That just emphasizes a really nice opening to the back of the leg. Again, it's that stretching and compressing balance. So as we move out of this sequence, we move into the next pose, which is shoelace pose. So once again, we're going to be targeting into those groin lymph nodes to create some compression. It's excellent for the hips as well. And so I'll start off with my right leg here as I bring the left one on top. And you can do a half shoelace, which may be more comfortable, especially if you don't have a lot of flexibility in the hips. I'm just going to reach for the bolster. So you could have a bolster, a couple cushions here, and maybe place them just over top of that thigh so you can allow yourself to lean in over top of your stacked legs. Now, if you do have a little bit more flexibility, you can go ahead and bring the right foot over beside the right hip. So before we rest over the legs, we're going to get into the stretching into the underarm area, another targeted area for the lymph nodes. Lots of detoxification that goes on in the chest underarm area. As we open up here, taking the arms nice and wide, let's take the left hand right between the shoulder blades and reach up with the opposite hand. So you can certainly try to bind them. And if that's just not available to you, you could simply place your right hand over top of your left elbow and bring your gaze up. And that's going to really stretch and open up in that entire area of the lymphatic system. Taking your gaze up is going to prevent you from putting a lot of pressure on your neck. Because quite often what happens is if you're pressing, you're really focusing on the bind and you're pressing forward, you can put a lot of pressure on the back of the neck. So we want to avoid that instead. It's about opening through the chest and really stretching and getting some movement of that fluid. And from here, let's open it up again. Take the arms, stretch them out. And this time I'll take the left arm here, wrapping the right one underneath and squeezing those elbows together for eagle arms. Now you can keep the palms or even the backs of the hands if you don't have the flexibility. Another option is to bring hands to opposite shoulders. So it's really about stretching into that area, and as we release you can tip forward. So this is where you might want to have the bolster right underneath the arms and giving you a little bit more height to rest on, but so really stretch into the sides of the body quite nicely. Once you've had sufficient stretch there, if you find this very intense, you could simply unravel the arms and allow yourself to fold forward over top of the legs. As we continue to intend both of the sit bones onto the floor and create a beautiful lengthening in the back and a whole lot of compression going on in those groin lymph nodes, particularly on the left side. So we're down to the last 15 seconds here. So really pacing your breath, allowing yourself to just lengthen it out, especially the exhales. And before you know it, time's up. And we're ready to move on to the other side. So as we come up, as usual, we move slowly and unravel the legs. You might want to stretch them out a little bit before we move on, bringing a little sway of the knees from side to side. And preparing to do the other side. So when you're ready, stretching out the left leg. Right one crosses over top this time. You can leave it here at the half shoelace, or making it a full shoelace by bringing your left foot over. So you'll probably find that one side is maybe a little less cooperative than the other, which is completely normal. But again, if it's too much, if you try to do the full version and it's too intense, just bring that bottom leg straight out in front of you. And that way, we're doing both sides anyway. When you're ready, you can bring the arms up. And this time we take the right hand between the shoulder blades, a left hand on the elbow, guiding it down. And again, you're bringing your gaze upward as we squeeze those inner legs mindfully. And you may want to play around with your bind here too. I find that one side binds much easier than the other one. And again, that's just like the hips. The shoulders is usually where you can find the differences from one side to the other. And just try to be non-judgmental as you encounter those differences. Really, it is the way that it is. Over time, we hope that they balance out a little bit more. They're not quite so defined in difference, but it's just based on our lifestyle. What we do from day to day has an effect on our bodies, especially over time. So take a couple more breaths here. And then as you open up the arms, nice and wide, big stretch. And taking the right arm in front this time, I'll take the left one underneath to wind them together for our eagle arms. So again, great stretch for the sides of the body. A little lean forward. And nice compression through the body here. Great stretch in the lats. You get a really good stretch there, which is really going to help too. The lymph nodes are, the lymphatic system is very close to the surface of the body, or of this layer top, close to the surface of your skin. So it's not really deep inside. So it doesn't necessarily take a lot of stimulation to get the lymphatics, the fluid moving. In fact, when you are doing some of the lymphatic massages, it really is a good comparison would be to, say, having a coin on a table and just lightly placing your finger on that coin to drag it across the table. And that's about as much pressure as you need to stimulate the lymph nodes. Originally, I had planned on taking you outside on the bedroom balcony to do this practice. I was quite looking forward to that. Unfortunately, Mother Nature has not really been cooperating with my filming schedule lately, so that's why we had to move back inside. And as the day fades, the lighting is starting to fade as well. So we're down to about another 35 seconds. So a half minute. So again, moving very slowly, making your way up, unwinding those legs, and you can either wiper blade them, you might want to stretch them out and simply do a little bit of movement this way, a little rub through the legs just to get the blood flowing again so that you can feel like you can move much easier. So next we're moving into a supported bridge pose. So for this one, I like to use a block, a bolster, even a rolled up blanket can be a good prop to use if you find that a block is a bit too hard for the sacrum area. But we come into this one with the legs bent. And as we do, we have feet flat on the mat, the upper back nice and broad, and you want to keep a little separation between the feet, and using your block press through the center back of the head, shoulder blades, and lift the hips up to bring the block right underneath. So you have 3 settings on that block, as you might be well aware, so you can use the setting that works best for you. You might start off at a particular place and find that you're able to, after a few minutes, adjust and move the setting up. Now placing the arms in a comfortable position as well. This now allows, again, the drainage to move into the chest area, the lymph nodes throughout the torso, and further aiding in that detoxification. So as we surrender into this one, it can feel really good for the hips as well. So physically, it's a great stretch for the hips, the abdomen, and the chest. You may want to bring the arms out a little bit more to open up a little bit more. The magic of this practice really is in the stillness of the practice. It is a challenge for many of us to remain still for several minutes as we do in this practice. But the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And it's always much like meditation practice. Some days are just easier than other days. You may also enjoy taking the arms back overhead. So preparing to move out of the pose, you'll want to bring the arms at your sides. You might even walk the shoulder blades a little bit more toward the center of your back, just to give you more grounding as you press into the feet and those points of contact. You can lift the hips up a little higher in order to move the block out of your way. So from here, we can bring the knees into the body just to give us a good counterbalance with some great massaging from side to side. And as you lift the nose toward the knees, we'll come into stirrup position, which you can take a hold of wherever it's comfortable for you to reach. Could be the outer edges of the feet, the inner edges, the big toes with your peace fingers, or you could even have a strap here that you hold on to and kind of loop it around the base of the arches. Or you could hold on to the ankles. You can bring the arms to wrap around the backs of your knees, which can make it the most gentle version. So whichever one works for you. We keep the knees above the ankles above the knees. And as I mentioned, this one is called stirrup, which in our Yan practice, you would know this one as happy baby pose. But rather than rocking from side to side, we simply continue to hold. And once again, we're creating that compression in the groin lymph nodes. So as I mentioned before, the typical duration for these poses in a yin practice can be anywhere from 2 to 5, maybe even 6 or 8 minutes. It really depends on the pose. It depends on the experience that you have as a practitioner. So it's really about listening to your own body. So always giving yourself permission to come out of the positions when you feel that you have hit the limit for you that's suitable for you. Really important, as it is for all physical activities, to listen to your body. The more you come to the mat, the more you get familiar with just what your body is telling you. That's one of the beauties of the yoga practices. You learn so much about your body and what is doable to you. So we're here for approximately another minute. Again, if you've had enough at this point, you can just stretch out. We are going to be moving very shortly into our final poses here. So as we bring the knees into the body, you can take the hands to the kneecaps and maybe make some rotations with them to further massage that low back. Doing that counterclockwise as well as clockwise. Just making it feel nice overall. As we bring the feet to the mat, you can open up the arms and maybe let the legs wiper blade a little bit side to side once again. That can be a really nice release, not only for the hips, but for the lower back too. From here, let's take the legs into one side for a spinal twist. And the twist can be held for longer, but today we've been here for a while, so won't be holding for quite as long, but you'll be taking that right hand to the left knee in this instance, because I've twisted to the right. I'm just sliding it up a little bit more so I get that further deepening of stretch in the left underarm, the chest, the left chest, and rib cage. As we slowly unwind the body, bringing those legs back to the center and allowing the knees to tip to the opposite side. Same thing here. Keeping that, you want to keep that opposite shoulder down. So even if you needed to, you could use your props here and kind of place them underneath the legs just to give you a little support. More important right now to have the shoulder blade, the upper arm anchored on the floor so that we really maximize the opening in the chest as well as the underarm area. Again, as you settle in more comfortably, you can bring your top knee in a little bit closer maybe to your chest. So just see how it feels. Just experiment a little bit, but give yourself permission to ease out so that you can continue to focus on really listening and being attentive to what your body is needing right now. So this particular practice was requested by a student of mine, both in-person student as well as a subscriber of the channel. If you have any requests that you would like to see as a practice, or you have certain questions on particular poses and how they might benefit you, or particular health questions that you may have that can be addressed with a yoga pose or even a Pilates exercise, by all means, don't hesitate to let me know in the comments down below. Or you can also DM me on Instagram, the same handle at Bendnstretch with Sue. I'd be happy to work my way into providing you with what you're looking for. So as we unwind and bring ourselves back to the center, make any adjustments that you like here. And as you feel ready to, you can stretch out the legs, adjust the body. You might even want to cover up with a blanket if you're a little chilled, so that you are comfortable to stretch out and move into Shavasana. So as you position the body and come into that comfortable alignment, take a deep inhale in through your nose and exhale out through the mouth. You may want to repeat that a couple times. And from there, making your way to an effortless breath, allowing yourself to really feel the body integrate all of this work that you've done in your practice today, allowing blood flow to move into new tissue, allowing your lymphatic system to work more efficiently, and just soaking in the rewards of this dedicated time of practice. So I will leave you here as you continue to lay here in stillness, in joy, and I will see you next time on the channel. Take care, everyone. Namaste.